nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So integrity is like, you know, you don't. It's not something you want to develop in people. They either have it or you don't hire them. According to the guy in the webinar, you know. What do you know the name of this shoe company, Franny?
Zappos?
Zappos. That's the name of it. Amazon bought them. They're like $1 billion. You know, the owner became a billionaire.
Yeah.
And he created a corporate culture that's very much like our culture. You know, of complete service where people in the culture serve each other and everybody who comes to them. You know, and that's what we do. It's the same thing, exactly.
Victor's calling in.
Wow, he's up. Good.
Yeah.
I know that Alejandra wanted us to call her too.
Really?
Yep. So I mean, she'll wake up, but we should at least try, then she'll know we tried.
I'll check in a second. I'm doing something. I didn't see her that she was online.
Maybe you should just call her cell phone just to rock her world a little bit.
You think so? Well, I don't call her cell phone. I call.
Oh, she asked for that.
I'll call her home phone now.
Mm-hmm.
She asked for it. We're gonna rock her world.
You're rocking now. 2 a.m. rocking.
Rockabye, my baby, and a Broadway melody. Let's see, Ross is still.
Good morning.
Morning, Vic.
Good morning.
Boy, it seems like just a few hours ago I was talking to you.
Karen calls in.
Oh, yeah.
Ross is still not on. Should I give Ross a call?
Bootsy's online. Hey, I only have 2 more friends, and then I'll have 1444.
I don't know. Bootsy says away.
Oh, she's on.
Anybody know if she wanted to be called?
Yeah, she does.
Well, okay, I'll give.
No, and I might have to step out for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you set me up with Bootsy, and then you leave.
All right, come on, Greg. I left you.
I'm teasing you.
That good-looking girl's what's bad about that.
No, I mean that she wanted me to call.
She does, but I'll be right
Okay.
back. I am.
Bootsy, are you on?
I'm here. Hi.
Do you want to join us today?
I'm joining.
You've joined.
I'm joining.
Morning.
Still.
Okay,
Victor, Ross is on now.
the thing that you have to remember, Greg, about Boots is that she always has the Do Not Disturb sign up on her Skype.
Oh.
Right, you're always away.
I'm going to change.
Hello.
Hi, Rosella.
Hi, I'll be back in a minute, okay?
Yes.
Yay!
We'll be here in a minute.
So no, Boots, you know, I think it's good for you to keep that on because then you won't get, you know, intervening phone, you won't get intervening people calling you on Skype.
Well, that's why I did it.
Yeah, that's what you should leave it like that. I think that was the right thing to do.
All right, well, now I'll go back and change it.
Okay, Ross, tell us about the tuberculosis. Oh, and turn your camera on.
Ross had to step away for a minute.
Oh, Ross stepped away, okay. Ross stepped away. Where's Franny?
Oh, she fell away.
Oh, she can't get on Skype, okay.
Can't get on Skype? You want to be on your phone?
I got booted off and now I can't get back on.
I'm calling you.
Alright.
You're doing this on your iPod, right, Bruno?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was trying to. It wouldn't go back on the
I'm back.
Barb is back.
Yeah, I wanted to say to Byard that that was nice of you to say what you said, and that was one of my symptoms to say what I said back. You notice?
Yeah.
I'll just say thank you.
Yes! Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is who I am.
I always remember what someone told me, you know, like after you've performed, and
Yeah.
it's the sort of thing I use. that you've done something and you're standing on the stage and people are applauding you. You don't go, oh no, I don't really deserve this. No, you just say thank you. They want to give back to you. It's part of a relationship.
Well, look, as long as more of us are here, maybe I'll say it again. What I was doing was I was listening to a webinar on my iPod Touch that was 1 hour and 1 minute long. And in the middle of listening to it, there was about like 20 minutes to go on it, and I drove to the park. And do you know that that thing kept playing till the bitter end? It did not cut me off, and I had no web connection, and I was on a web connection on YouTube. It must have downloaded the entire thing to my iPod Touch.
Sure, yeah.
So I was out running, and there I still had the thing going. You know, I don't know, Bootsy, you have, because you get yours off the web onto your phone. Now, and when you go for a walk and you get away from your Wi-Fi, how long do yours last?
No, well, I download it onto the phone.
Oh.
So I know it's all there.
So they last forever. But with movies you can't. But with movies you can't do that, can you? With YouTube movies?
No.
So,
especially where I live,
So how long do the YouTube movies last when you walk out?
It just depends how much, gets uploaded before I go, and that depends on how long, the connection. It could be a lot of things, but I wouldn't say more than 5 minutes. I
think you're right, because, I was listening to the thing for about 40 minutes. So it had ample time to finish downloading it. Good thinking on that. Well, anyway, so one of the things, like they were talking about the qualities of their staff, and the guy was saying that they didn't have, like they list, like for example, you can put a sense of humor, like you hire people who have a sense of humor, but he said you can't put integrity on the qualities list, because if they don't have integrity, you can't do anything. So you really can't hire people who don't have integrity.
I can't get my iPod or anything.
Yeah.
I got it, so do you want me on your phone?
But there's a lot of people that don't have integrity that have jobs.
Yeah, but
That's for sure.
Yeah, but not at what is it called? Zappo? Zippo?
Yeah.
Zappo. Well, what is it, Bono?
Zappos.
Zappos. Well, okay, at Zappos. Well, anyway, so what I realized, I just wanted to say to everybody who's here, I just want to tell you all how grateful I am to all of you for your all of the learning that has happened for me since I started doing these Cure Team meetings. And it took me a while of adjusting, to get the right people and to know exactly what I wanted to do with them when they were here. But now that I am with you, I've just been learning at a breakneck pace, and it's been wonderful. And anyway, what I was telling Barb and I called a friend of mine from many, many years ago. I knew her at Baba House in the 1970s. Her name's Lori, and she has bone cancer. And we spent, Barb was, helping her. And I just was saying to Barb that she has integrity. Whatever else, Barb is like just, that's like her foundation. That Barb is a person of integrity. And it seems to me...
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And now, so anyway, that's what, that's what Barb was talking about before, when I... And this is why Barb, this is why we've been working together for 30 years. It's your integrity. You have integrity, and you don't get attacked and go down. You don't get creamed, people, Meher Baba said that the most important quality in a spiritual aspirant is discrimination. And you have the ability to discriminate between messages and things that come in. You understand, the varying the various, you know, the relative importance of people and things. Like you have an understanding of that. And that's what makes you so great to work with and why I've always depended on you. Because I can depend on you. Yeah, that's the reason I've depended on you is because I can depend on you.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to see Bootsie's videos.
Yes. But we did not video my friend with the cancer, and when I asked her, she said she didn't. After the, I just decided I wanted to talk to her on the phone, and afterwards I invited her to do more on video, and she said that she didn't want to because she was afraid of being on video. And then I started to realize maybe that, you know, I had made an error in judgment with my, you know, the way I had handled working with her. But also, one thing that we did do in that call last night was we got a huge amount of practice. And that was definitely worth the price of admission, even if Lori never cures her cancer. And she did very well with her testing and getting signals and removing the cancer, and she felt the changes and she felt different. But I don't think she really knows, even after all that experience, that she can cure the cancer. And there's something that I think the reason, I was telling Franny a little while ago, I think that I know how I messed up with her. And it was that at the, like she had felt some changes. We were, you know, I should backtrack a little bit and tell you that when I first, okay, here's how it happened. I have a Facebook friend named Stephen Petrowski. Does anybody know who that is? Oh, Barb, do you know who Stephen Petrowski is?
I'm not
Oh,
sure.
I thought you was talking about Polanski. No, I don't know Petrowski.
Stephen Petrowski, or some name like that, he was writing, I saw something that he was writing about how he has cancer and he thinks he's going to die of it. And there were a bunch of people giving him sympathy underneath what he wrote. And in fact, right now, while I'm talking, everybody here could just go to Stephen Petrowski on Facebook. And you could write him something and maybe give him a link to our homepage or whatever, and just say you'd be, you know, happy to, you know, help him if he wants, and that he doesn't have to die. And anyway, what I wrote is, why are you dying of this when you can cure it? And then I was thinking, Ross, can you turn your camera on?
Yes, okay. I'll try. I don't have much light. Let me do it and let's see what happens. I have to go back to Skype. Camera. Okay.
Anyway, while I was, so I wrote this, and I was.
Excuse me, 1 second. What's his name? Roman Polanski? No.
Stephen.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you search on Stephen.
Okay, Stephen.
Ross,
Sorry.
can you get?
Excuse me.
Fire. Excuse me. I'll get more light.
Okay, go ahead and get more light. If you search on Stephen, you probably find Stephen Petrowski. You'll notice that there probably aren't that many Stevens among your Facebook friends. So,
Is there Stephen with a V or a PH?
I think it's PH.
Okay.
But if you go STE, you'll probably get all the Stevens, and then you can just look through them. You know, that's the easy. Facebook is very easy to find people that way, because with every letter you type, it gives you a whole nice selection of people.
I don't think I'm friends with him. I don't have it.
Okay, well go in my Facebook friends and do it
Okay.
there, and see if you can
right.
find Stephen Petrowski. Anyway, so I was worried, and I was thinking, well, is he going to take offense at what I'm saying, and is it, you know, does it seem too caustic? And you know what? I have to say that in telling you the story of Nate, and in creating the character that I've created of Nate, somehow I have gotten enough practice so that I'm not worried enough about things like that to make it stop me. And I did not go back and change it and try to say something nice or whatever. I did not do that. I just left it there. And because that's what Nate does. You know, Nate does a lot of... Nate is a basketball player. You know, he does massive amounts of very rapid-fire communications. And so I just did this. And I get this note from this woman who saw what I wrote to Stephen, right? And her name is, you know, this friend of mine, Lori. And she says, "Hi, I was interested in the comment you made to Stephen." And by the way, it is PH, because she spelled it here.
The name is Stephen what?
Just type in Stephen and look through the Stevens.
She can type in PET.
Huh?
It narrows
It narrows it down.
I guess
it's an
S-T-E-P, Petrowski.
I get Stephen Cuomo, Stephen Hallahan, Stephen Kahn, Stephen A. Island.
It's in Byard's Friends. If you go that way, you'll find it.
It's in My Friends, Ross.
Because I don't have it. He's
Ross,
not my friend either.
Ross,
so
make your
I have
screen
it.
bigger. Ross, make your browser bigger.
Yes. Don't tell me because I know.
Okay, so and don't sit up so close because I can't see your face.
I know everything.
Okay.
My daddy.
So anyway, she wrote to me and she said, "I have issues myself. I will know more today. I would like to speak with you." And then she wrote me again, and she said, "Hi, Byard, I had a diagnosis of bone cancer, but I heard in my head bullshit. Am seeing other doctor today," and then she goes on for more, and we had a long dialogue, and she ended up meeting with us for an hour and a half last night. And one thing that I learned from this experience with her, with Lori, is that Lori and other people, they are connecting with us on Facebook, and they are like with us, and they're watching. People are watching us, and if we like what I did with Stephen, I just wrote to. There was somebody there with cancer, and I wrote to him and I said, "You can cure it." And if we did a lot of that, we would get a lot more people like Lori. You know, like, if you wrote that you knew somebody who cured his herpes, or that if somebody else wrote that, somebody could cure something, or whatever. If you actually wrote to people personally about curing things, because you share stuff and you do all this, but if you actually just gave a direct, like, speaking to somebody about curing something, you would probably, be able to help some people. So, just a little thought. Anyway.
It shows me. Thanks, Vic.
But what I found
I just put a name in the chat there so
Yeah,
you
that
can't
works.
find it.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's your little notification here.
Stephanie Petrowski.
What I needed to do at the end of the conversation with Lori. Ross, are you writing to her right now?
Wait a minute. I have found Stephen Petrowski, and he lives in Pretoria. Is that the man? Married with Anneli Petrowski.
Okay, good.
I can't write to him because he's not my friend.
Oh, you can't message him even?
No.
Okay, well then, why don't you just ask him to be your Facebook friend and leave it at that?
Okay.
What I needed to do was, after Lori experienced it working and I needed to ask her.
Before you mailed him, I'm sorry, he's the one in Virginia, not in Pretoria.
Oh, no, then it's not this.
He's the one in
You know what, Ross?
Staunton, Virginia.
I'll tell you what, Ross.
Yes?
Why don't you just stop doing this and sit back?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'll wait for you. Just relax.
Okay.
Because it's if it's too hard, we shouldn't be doing things. We should do the easy things.
Okay.
And you know, if you want to like check them out later, or maybe I can put I can put something on my Facebook wall of Stephen so you can all see it, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I could do that. You know, but what we
That
really ought to be doing is just the easy things. You know, we need to keep it simple, direct, and easy.
Okay, fine.
You know, it's really funny because I see you, but your voice is nowhere near what your image is on the screen. Not even close. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Sure, I hear you just totally fine. I hear you completely fine. There is no relationship between the picture on the screen and what I hear. None whatsoever. And that's okay.
Okay.
At least at least I can see you, and that's fine too. So
Okay.
what I needed to do, now I'm just going to try to get this out, okay? So relax, everybody relax. And
Okay.
what I needed to do with Lori was to ask her if she could feel a certainty that she had affected her cancer with what she had already done. Boots, what's your first reaction when you hear me say that?
Jennifer, there, we can't hear you. You're probably a step away.
Boots, are you there? I don't know, we can't hear Boots if you are there, because I see you're there, but can't hear you. Barb, what was your first reaction when you heard me say that? Barb, are you there? I can't.
Yeah. My first reaction with Lori?
When I just said what I just said, what did you feel when I just said that?
I'm sorry, my phone rang and I was not paying attention.
Ross, what did you feel when I said that?
I'm not sure I understood.
I feel quiet.
You felt quiet.
Yes.
Look, you know what? I'll say it again. I think we just lost Boots, by the way. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
I said that what I needed to do was to ask Lori if she felt a certainty that she had affected the cancer with what she had already done.
You mean before she met us?
No.
Yeah, well, I asked her that after you hung up. I mean, she tested on it, and she tested that she had removed it, and she tested that she had, you know, she may not have connected with what her answers, but she was getting those answers.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's the same thing.
So you asked her.
I asked her to test whether she had removed any cancer tonight. She got a yes. I said, test if you removed any precursors to cancer. She got a yes. I asked her to test if she removed anything that would have turned into, you know, physical cancer if she hadn't removed it from her higher bodies, and she got yes.
Okay, that's good. No, you did good. Those were good things to have her test. So,
Yeah.
okay, here's what I'm saying my mistake was. So I'm going to go back to
Okay, sorry.
explaining to what my mistake was. Boots, are you there now?
I'm back.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to tell you the mistake I made. What I needed to do was to stop the testing part of the interaction for the rest of the call. There was a point where she had cured something, she felt different, she had a result, and I needed to ask her if she had certainty, not to test it.
I see.
There's a lot of things, by the way, there are times to say to people, do not
Yeah.
test this.
Right, I hear you.
What do you think, feel, or sense? Have I affected, how much certainty have I got that I actually affected this disease just now? Okay, so that was the first thing I needed to do that I didn't do. Now, Ross, hearing this, me saying this, what is your response to hearing what I just said?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking to you.
Yes. Yes, I think it's right.
Okay. Boots, what about you? What do you think?
Well, I didn't hear everything except this. I don't know where I came in, but something about stopping the testing and feeling.
Yes. You got the whole thing. That's where it started.
Okay, well, I agree. You know, that when you first start out, it's better.
You got very quiet. You dropped your phone headset away or something.
No, her mic does that, Greg. There's nothing much she can do about it. She just keeps talking and it comes back. Go ahead, Boots. What did you want to say?
Yeah, so I don't know what her background is, but I agree. She tested something. She should just go with and feel in her body the difference instead of adding more and more and more, because then it becomes too much.
And also, see, I'm actually not talking about her feeling it or anything. Although I am, but what I'm asking, you know, what I needed to ask her was, how certain are you that you actually did something? You know, because you feel it, because you sense it, because you know it, because you experienced it, because you observed yourself. It doesn't really matter how. How certain are you? But you know what? All these things that you're saying to me are helping me a lot, because you're helping me clarify this for my...
Well, is this what you did with her?
No.
Or you didn't do
I'm
it?
saying I made an enormous mistake.
I see. Okay.
Because I did not do this. We did something else, and I don't think it was a very effective what we did at the end of that. I think about the last 45 minutes were a bust of our call with her.
Yeah, but you know, you learn something, and I remember this happened when we were working with Barb on something, and later when we went back and we looked at the movie and you saw it again, you found out, like, okay, this is where we went wrong. You know?
That's right. Well,
I mean, that's...
Sure. You know, I'll tell you, like, I don't know if you remember last week, when...
I hope so.
When, I don't know if you remember when Karen was saying that we've been willing to persist and do something in the absence of a whole lot of evidence that it works. And later on, if you remember, I was telling her that, of course, I see a lot of evidence because I see everybody who cures all these things. Barb, go on mute. I see all these people curing all these things, you know, and so I see a huge amount of evidence. But you know what? Later, I listened to that, and I really saw the whole thing completely differently. I saw something that I never saw before. Greg, do you have any inkling of what it was?
No, I'm not inkling right now.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. There is not a whole lot of evidence at all that cure will ever tip into global consciousness. All the evidence that comes in is evidence to the contrary. Even when people cure things, they don't tip cure into global consciousness. That's what we see. Ross, how do you feel when you hear me say that?
It's true. Because when we hear something, we can tell other people, our family, our friends, our colleagues, but it's not enough to keep hearing.
What about you, Boots? What do you feel when I say that?
I know that's true. And sometimes it really pisses me off, to be honest.
No.
It's frustrating. I mean, I just know from when I show people how to test and cure and all that, I can just see, like, you know, if I have 4 people in front of me, one of them will take to it, and the other 3 want me to do it for them.
Right.
I'm just like, come on.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's the same thing, just on a bigger scale.
Totally right.
Well, but
I have a feeling that you always make the same mistake, which is that you start so talk.
You're breaking up.
Go on mute. Walk over there and talk into that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll walk over here. Well, I was saying that you always sort of make the same mistake, which is that you start concentrating on what will tip Immunix rather than just doing the work. I was successful at Milton Glaser because I didn't worry about like all that stuff. I just did a good job.
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks. Could you do me a favor and watch that? Okay. Just to go on with the mistake I made yesterday, no matter what she said, whether she said, yes, I feel certain, or no, I'm not sure, I needed to then say the same thing, which was, okay, here are your options, and then give her a list of options. Barb, do you remember at the beginning of the call with Lori last night where you said, let me tell you a little about what we do? You started to say that, remember?
Yeah, because she was like telling this long story about her.
And I stopped you, you know, and I stopped you and I said, okay, and you know, what happened was we actually, see, the first part of the call was wonderful because we connected so beautifully with Lori. I mean, it really was great. So we did well, and she learned. She took the cancer out, and she was just doing. She was your dream of somebody doing this, and you know, and she was somebody. Boots, by the way, she was the kind of person who asks people to do it for her, but she was doing it. And the reason she was doing it was because we made such a great connection with her and we understood each other so well. She understood us and we understood her. And we did that by just interacting with her as she was. You know, she told her story and we talked about her issues with her. You know, and got into relationship, like really strong relationship with her. And that was wonderful. And see,
that was funny. That was it was unusual because what I remember, first of all, when I heard she had breast and bone cancer, it reminded me of Darren, who's my friend we worked with that we didn't get totally in a relationship with unless, you know, besides like finding out what she did that didn't work, and then she died. And then when I heard this woman talking, I remember almost getting impatient and kind of like angry. Like I had that angry feeling like, you know, like, why am I listening to this long? Like, why do I have to be nice to this person? I sort of felt like I felt this irritation, and that's when I said what I said, and then you stopped me. And then I just realized, okay, just like you know, maybe we should do something different, like what we didn't do with Darren. Like, let her tell us all about herself and everything she's been through and everything. But then But then she just seemed like she was taking like testing and removing as just another thing. Like you said, she didn't even get that she was actually doing that, even though after you hung up, she tested that she was. So it was kind of like I didn't know what to make of her. Like she didn't seem like committed to getting well. Something like she didn't take it seriously.
Oh, she's very committed. She just doesn't know. She simply didn't know exactly what she did. She might have said it. If we had asked her, she might have verbalized it. She might have been able to see it.
Well, I just want to say, since I'm the newbie in the group here, I also didn't get it in the beginning, but it doesn't, it doesn't mean like I didn't keep showing up, because some part of me knew like I was doing the right thing. And she might think about it later. I mean, now I get it. Like, I'm really taking this stuff out. But in the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this exercise. I'll go through the motions and, I'm going to get something at the end of it. It took a little time for it to sink in.
Well, Lori is a hard worker.
Yeah, so she has a good chance.
Mm-hmm. That, you have to give her credit for that. She's going to travel. She's going to do all these things to try to cure this thing. She does not want to do the medical treatment. And she's researching and she's working hard. The problem is, she simply doesn't know. And there was a place where, the thing that she needed to do for herself was make a choice. And that's why what we needed to say is, these are your options, okay? And if she said, yes, I feel like I have absolutely affected this cancer, or maybe she might say, well, I'm not really sure, I don't know. And whatever she said, we needed to say, okay, you can come to the Monday evening meeting, you can join the web college, you can make a movie with me about your cancer, you can watch more movies on YouTube of people doing this. You can watch movies of people curing cancer with this, and so on. And so you have all these options, and we needed to not ask her for a decision, but just say, okay, those are your choices. We'll just leave you with that. And then we needed to get off the call with her.
Yeah.
Because there's a point where you have to leave the person with it. And you know what, Boots? This is something I've learned from you, because, when we started, we were doing these hour-and-a-half meetings. And you were saying, well, it's right in my dinner time. And I started to realize, it's funny because it's right in my lunchtime. But wait a minute, maybe we could get something done. And you know what I found out is that we make better movies, and they're a lot shorter when we meet, for the 45. And, the other day I called you early, so we actually went 55. It was 53 minutes, that movie. And we made 2 movies in there. That was 2 movies. And one of them was on fasting. And the movie's on fasting. There's a lot of people interested in fasting. I'm seeing a lot of hits on those. And the other one was on flu. And that was a good one. We're doing a flu cure program, and that's going to go in there. So, the thing we needed to do with Lori, and that we need to do it, and see, this is the reason that Nate, my character, Nate is so successful, because Nate has no time. He is a person who has no time. He is, he's a stock clerk at Barnes & Noble, and he's a college student. And he runs all day from one thing to the other. But what he does have time to do is turn on his voice recognition and tweak things. And he does that. He talks into his smartphone, and he tweets everything he cures. He tweets. And he usually tweets it about 2 seconds after he cures it. There's about 10 seconds of feeling, the calm, clear feeling, 10, 20 seconds. And then he picks up his smartphone, he starts talking. And he says a sentence or two about it and sends it out. And that's the way he's, like, he actually goes back and reads his own tweets. Like he's feeding this stuff back into himself. And the reason he's so effective is because he has no time. And, you know, it's possible that our problem last night with Lori was just that we had too much time on our hands. And because of it, we really didn't do Lori any big favor, unfortunately. I'm afraid.
Well, you and Barbara kind of speeded up, and I don't know. It just seemed like you were trying to do too much.
We were trying to do too much. We needed to do less, and we needed to leave Lori to do more.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear your first message, so I was sort of caught by surprise. I didn't know we were going to even have that call. And so, I mean, with her at least, I expected a call from you, but not with another person on there. And so I was kind of like working here. I don't know, I just didn't, except that I had this sort of sense of impatience. I didn't really understand who that was right away. So. And even though she said she was getting, yeah, I mean, she was getting results, and then she said she was tired, but then she wanted to keep going also, so it was a tough call. I think Bootsy's saying something, but I can't hear her.
I asked if you're going to talk to her again.
I don't know if I will. I became her friend today on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And then last night she was saying, that she had this, good result and all that stuff. And then she fell asleep right after we talked, while we were talking almost, like she kind of got into bed and fell asleep. So she relaxed, but I didn't, I don't know. I mean, maybe we will. I didn't make a plan to.
Well, if Lori does well, it will be in spite of me, my best efforts, not because of them. Because
well, maybe she thought it was a great experience.
Oh, she obviously did.
Yeah.
But great experiences don't add up to cures, Boots, and that's something that took me a long time to learn that.
Well, it might, she might come back. That leads to cures.
Yeah. Well, I'll get in touch with her over the next few days and see how she's doing. Maybe later today I'll see if I can give her a call, see how she's doing. I talked to her on the phone, so that's good for me. I like talking on the phone. So now we go to Ross. What about the tuberculosis, Ross? Tell us about that.
Excuse me? What about?
Tuberculosis, consumption.
Okay, it happened at the school, at one of the schools where I teach. I do only 3 hours a week in that school, and one of the girls got tuberculosis. And at that point, Ufficio di Igiene, the hygiene service, came to the school to test all the people. And they did something on our arm. I don't know if you can see it. No, I don't think you can. Anyway, no, you can't see. Anyway, then a couple of days later, I went back to see this doctor to have this sort of thing they did on my arm measured, and she told me, you may be positive, which doesn't mean you have tuberculosis. It's like you are with a person who has the flu. You breathe in the virus, but it never develops. I want you to do other exams, though, because you have obstructive bronchitis and emphysema. So this morning I went to get more exams. I got x-rays and a blood test. By the way, while I was getting to the hospital, I had a car accident, and I can't tell you. Anyway, I called my brother, and he came to pick me up, and he was really nice because he brought me everywhere. We went back to the lady, and she told me, honestly, I'm not good enough because I'm not a pneumologist to tell you if in this X-ray there is something specific. So I want you to do another exam. Practically, I have this jar here, and I have to spit in the jar for 3 days and take it to the hospital to be examined. The thing is, when the principal of the school told us about this tuberculosis story, I tested if I had it, and I got no. Then when they told me it may be yes, it might be yes, we are not sure, I tested another question, and I tested, do I have these bacteria, tuberculosis bacterial dormant? And I got yes. This is the story.
Well, that's what I like about you, Ross. You always tell a story.
Yes.
It's always easy to understand what you're talking about. So, did you test positive? The thing I wasn't clear about is, on the medical test, did you test positive for the bacteria?
On the medical test, it's not sure. It's very difficult to be sure because in the X-ray it shows some nodules in my lungs, but I don't have an earlier X-ray to confront with that one. So this doctor told me it's probably an old thing, but I'm not a pneumologist and I can't be sure. I have a friend, a pneumologist, and I'd like him to see it. In the meantime, I go and do this other test, okay? And then I asked her, doctor, tell me, because she's very, very nice, as a doctor and as a woman, do you think I have it? And she told me, honestly, I don't think so. But I don't know. I will know something more after these tests, and it will take a while to get the results. In the meantime, I'm testing. I have the bacteria of the tuberculosis dormant in my gravitational, spiral, and physical body.
And I test this right now. Have I cured it in those bodies?
Have I cured it in those bodies? No.
All right, kill the bacteria in each body right now.
Okay. Do I have the bacteria of tuberculosis in my gravitational body, dormant in my gravitational body? Again, no. My gravitational body is clear of the bacteria of tuberculosis. Do I have these bacteria of tuberculosis in my spiral body? Yes. I'm killing the bacteria of tuberculosis in my spiral body now. I feel relief. My spiral body is clear of bacterial tuberculosis. Do I have it in my etheric body? No, my astral body, emotional body, mental body, my physical body. I get no in the physical body. Do I have it in any of my universal bodies? No. All my bodies are clear of the dormant bacteria of tuberculosis. Yes.
Do you feel any different at this moment than you did a few minutes ago?
I felt a difference when I removed it from my spiral body. I felt relief.
Okay. And is there an overall difference now, between now and then?
Now I'm back how I was before starting to remove it, to kill it.
And how is that?
Excuse me?
How is that?
No difference.
So do you feel good or bad?
Neither good nor bad. I felt good though when I removed it from my spiral body.
Well, see, to me, not good or not bad is good.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, it's nice to just be, like, clear and empty. I don't know. Like, Greg, what do you feel about that?
I think your normal state is not, it's just a state. It's not good or bad.
Yeah.
A feeling like that is...
No, let's say normal.
Okay.
Call it normal, but, you know, then there's levels of normal, how you feel really connected and, you know. So you're good. Good to go.
Okay. I think this doctor was extra careful with me because I told her immediately that I had emphysema and chronic bronchitis. So she wants to be very, very sure because of my age and because of what I have. You know, she's very nice, extremely nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
And do you have any symptoms?
No.
No symptoms.
No, because I think the symptoms of tuberculosis are feeling very tired, feeling like your bones are broken. And the only thing that I have is that I am skinny. But I've been skinny for a while, before the story of this girl with tuberculosis started. And then anyway, what I think is better, if you have tuberculosis or anything else, it's better to know it, because if you know it, you can cure it. If you don't know it, it's a problem.
Sure. Well, test this.
Yeah.
Have I cured tuberculosis?
Have I cured tuberculosis? No.
Do I have tuberculosis?
Do I have tuberculosis? I don't know.
You know what? I can tell you something about that, but maybe I should tell you my story.
Okay.
Because you know how you were testing a little while ago that you had tuberculosis in your physical body?
Yeah.
It's all that, okay. And then you removed it, now you're testing that you have not cured tuberculosis and you don't have it. How can that be? Well, a long time ago, I did not test myself for diseases. And I had cured my herpes. I cured my herpes in '93, and this was like '96 or '97. It was in the fall, I remember that. And I was out at Franklin Mills, where Barb and I used to go to the movies, Barb. In I was out in the parking lot back where we used to park, and it was a beautiful fall night in northern Philadelphia. Very balmy temperature, around 60 degrees, you know, and I had gone to the movies and it was really late at night and I was just walking around, and all of a sudden this idea popped into my head to test if I had diseases in my bodies that I had never shown any symptoms of, just diseases, you know. For example, the first thing I thought of was cancer. And I never thought I had, I'd never been diagnosed with cancer or had any symptoms of it or any reason to think I might have it. And I tested, do I have cancer in any of my bodies? And I got yes. And boy, did that scare me, because I realized, and I asked a few more questions. I asked, have I had this cancer more than a year, more than 10 years, more than 50 years, you know, and so on. And as it turned out, I brought it into this life. It was in my gravitational body from, you know, centuries probably, eons. It was just there. It had never been removed. And you know, when you have cancer in your spiral or gravitational body, you may never get cancer in that lifetime.
Yeah, sure.
And you get, you know, somebody shoots you and you die and you just take it into your next life. But it affects you every minute. These diseases have an effect on you every minute, on your thoughts and your actions and how you live, everything. They affect everything.
Of course.
And I took it out and I felt so different. I mean, I really felt a huge difference. And I was wandering around and I was like gloating, you know, about what I'd done for myself. I felt so good. And then I started asking about other diseases, and wouldn't you know it, I found tuberculosis in my gravitational and spiral bodies. And I don't know whatever prompted me to test for tuberculosis, because the idea that I had about it was a bacteria. And you know, to get it, you had to get the bacteria, you know?
Yes.
And I didn't realize that it was the susceptibility to the bacteria was, of course, caused by codes in the same bodies that cause everything else. And see, it's only because I cured my herpes that I could ever believe any of this stuff. You know? Had I not cured real medically incurable diseases that I actually had and had been diagnosed with by a doctor, never could I have expanded my consciousness to know this stuff.
Of course.
Even if I tested for it. And see, that's the exact problem somebody like Lori has. She never cured a medically incurable disease. So she's testing all this stuff and she's feeling great. But the truth is, Lori may not cure her cancer. She may die of it unless Bloodroot works, you know, and she takes that and it kills it. Because how is she supposed to know in an hour that she can cure a medically incurable disease without ever having cured, like, the flu or something, something less menacing, something less threatening, something not life-threatening, you know, but incurable, like herpes or whatever. I have walked through the park and thanked God that I had herpes. If I had never gotten herpes, I'd be dead. Because I was getting prostate problems in my 40s, and I'm 70. I cured them, but you know, I would have ended up with prostate cancer. You know, Oshawa, the founder of macrobiotics, said that people who took a lot of LSD would develop prostate cancer.
Oh.
What about the women that took a lot of LSD?
I don't know what he said about that, but I would assume it would go to some yang organ down in the lower body around the first chakra. If, you know, if it was going to run true to form, because, but what he said about men was that it was, you know, it would cause prostate cancer. And what does Ram Dass have, by the way, Barb?
He just had a stroke. I don't know what else he has, but he had a stroke. So he can't, you know, he sort of lost some connections in his brain.
Ram Dass took the cancer codes out of all his bodies. He became spiritual. And he may not have been able to test the way we do, but he was able, we could cure him of the stroke tendencies too. But he was able to cure the cancer tendency because he took a lot of LSD when he was young. But his friend, Timothy Leary, died of prostate cancer. Jerry Garcia took a lot of LSD, prostate cancer. And so, and that's, I took a lot of LSD and I was headed for prostate cancer. And I never got it. See, Lori would have a lot better chance right now if she had discovered this. Like, Ross, you've been doing this about 5 years, right?
Yeah, maybe a little more. I don't remember well.
Well, had Lori discovered this 5 years ago, she might have a better chance now. I mean, not might, she would have. You know, suppose, like you, what was it like for you when you first discovered it?
To me?
Yeah.
I read it. I read the little booklet, and I started trying to test. And now I know that I tested immediately because I put my fingers like this, and I felt a tingle on the tip of my fingers. But very stupidly, I thought I had it because I closed a circuit, and that's why I feel a tingle. It was my signal. Anyway, I kept testing because at that point I wanted to succeed. And in the beginning, I remember I tested with the pendulum, and I started working with the pathologies and the bodies. I stuck a piece of paper on the car with all the bodies and all the pathologies, and I started removing. And also when I took walks, I started removing what came to my mind. For example, I remember one morning I was walking and I said, I'm now removing my birth trauma. And I felt wonderful. I had never felt like that in years. And so I thought, oh my God, this is real. And also when I removed anxiety, one night while I was driving to work, I felt a huge difference, really a huge difference. And that's why I decided I wanted to get a scholarship and surf the web to understand more. And I have to say, when I was on the mailing list, Kili was really a big help to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've always had people who have been an enormous help to people.
Yes.
You know,
you know what made a big difference to me? Because in the beginning it was very complicated aside, okay, removing the pathologies, from the body. That was quite simple. And even the immune dysfunctions. I bought the books and I read the books. The other stuff was a bit difficult. What it was really, really useful to me was to listen to the Cure shows, because at that time we didn't have videos. But when I listened to the Cure show, something changed, because it was like being with you and removing. And I remember a specific incident. One day I felt I was coming down with the flu, and I started removing it. And then I told myself, okay, why not go to the website, take a flu cure show, and do it along with them. And I did it. Well, believe it or not, my flu got so bad, I started vomiting, I had a terrible headache, I had to go to bed, and I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have to go to work. And I kept removing for about 2 hours, and then it went.
Did you like
Wow.
the Herxheimer effect?
That's
I
great.
can't hear you, sorry. Is it you, Vic?
Say that again, Vic?
I just said,
I was saying when she got the headache and the the rush, there was that a Herxheimer effect from the removal, or?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because that's what it sounds like. Is when you're doing the removal and you start feeling ill, that's the toxins coming out of the body really fast.
Yes, I
And that's
think
known
you're
as
right.
and that's known as the Herxheimer effect.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good
And
thing.
then I was fine.
Yeah.
The change was very fast,
I also want to say that the Cure shows really helped me too when I first started. I love the Cure shows.
They were very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm so glad we did them. And I'm glad we could provide, like, personal experience for people.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's what people need, In this
Yes.
in this webinar, I was listening to this webinar,
Right.
and one of the people who were leading a webinar, he was saying that there are different kinds of products. And some products, you can just look the product up and buy it. And then other products, you need to talk to a person. You need somebody, a human being there who knows about it, to interact with about it. And that's the kind of thing that this is.
Yeah. Same with the healthy chocolate. I was wondering about I don't know if you're done, but I was curious about what Vic was thinking about this, because I realize I've been hanging out with Vic a lot, and, people around here, and there's so many things. I just noticed while we were talking that Tony Ann Pintabona was telling her friends, not to get the flu shot and stuff. She's the woman who's on the video on our homepage. And, I think sometimes people, there's a way we have to, communicate about what this is. That's, I don't know, how do we do it when there's so many other things out there? I know because I hang out with Vic that he knows that there are certain devices that kill pathogens the same way we do it on our own. And maybe they don't stay out if you don't do Immunix also, but there seems like a way we have to remain complementary medicine. We have to find a way to discuss all these things and discuss what we do in a way that people get it.
Right. Yeah. When you're saying with the devices, I'm thinking a lot of people that do the removal, would say for pathologies or bacteria, and they see that it works. Their belief changes, and when their belief changes, maybe something spiritually changes.
Maybe, yeah. Well, sort of like you and me are in the same. Yeah, how do you?
Yeah. Right.
Because I know from my experience, even though I've had a lot of devices and products and everything, that basically, Immunix is like the original lasting cure, you know. But, you know, it doesn't mean you don't want to have some other good things in your life or other good stuff or drink, you know, good water and all that kind of stuff. But like I was thinking about that woman last night, like how much of her condition, like what did she do to herself? Like how did she manifest that? Like how, like some of it can be very deep and karmic and spiral and everything else. And others, like some people, she might have absorbed a lot of toxins and like
bad vibrations from other people.
there's a lot. Like we have to really work together to somehow let people understand how, like when Byron was saying, when you were saying that you were walking around that day and you tested that you had cancer. I mean, I get that too, but that's what this reminds me, that we're all connected. Like there's cancer out there, like there's viruses out there. And if I test, if I'm not feeling the best in my test, like, oh, I've got something in one of my higher bodies, it's like it's natural, we're all connected. If someone in the next room has it, I probably have it in some level unless I'm clearing it from my higher bodies. Or if the person I'm talking to has something, I'm probably catching it unless I keep my higher bodies clear. But that's not what, you know, a device does or a supplement does or anything else. So I think it's important we all know that we know the difference, especially someone like you, Vic, who's like you're in a good position. You have some, you know, really good things that require someone to explain them usually.
Why don't we ask Vic? Why don't we ask Vic? Vic, what is Immunix?
Yeah.
To me, you mean what does Immunix mean to me, or what is it to me?
What is it? No, I don't want to know what it is to you. I want to know what it is. What is it?
I'm not going to say I think. It's just working with systems, physical systems, spiritual systems, you know, systems that we normally don't believe in.
Okay, so see, the problem is that Victor doesn't know what Immunix is.
That's right.
And,
a lot of people.
Okay, and which sort of, like, you know, what I was actually in the middle of saying, Barb, when you started talking, this is a very good illustration of it. What you happen to intuitively, I mean, I say I always love working with you, you know, because you are an intuitive person. And you intuitively just brought this to light. That this is the kind of thing, like let's say somebody comes to our web college, right? And they land on it. You know, most people who land on our web college, 80% of them, according to our statistics, they leave within 30 seconds. Greg, you were telling me that. Greg, you're there, right?
Yeah, I'm here. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, you were telling me that. So they leave within about 30 seconds. Now, there's another website that I'm familiar with. And the other website is, they have something on their website that says, it's a little box up in the upper right that says live chat. If you want to talk to somebody, you click the box. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes when you go on that website, see, because the software that website owns allows somebody sitting in a computer somewhere on this planet to see that you're there. So sometimes this little box comes up in the middle of the screen and it says, "Do you have a question? Ask me." And if you remember, I had started to tell you this story, the Nate story, last week. You know, I was telling you this alternate ending of the story. And if you remember, Nate is living in a spa. And I don't know if anybody, how, you know, this is kind of a detail. And see, the story, of course, is all details. That's what it's all about. It's about the details, you know. But what I was telling you is that Nate is not paying any rent to live in this spa. He's traded with the people who own the spa, and what he does is he sits in the lobby for a couple of hours a day, and he helps people cure things if they want to learn. And you know, people who come to a spa, they come to cure things. So lots of people are, you know, will sit down and do something with Nate. And Nate has these two chairs, and he's sitting in one of them, and he just sits by the door and hangs out, does his tweeting and cures things and talks to his friends on his smartphone. But then somebody will come over and they'll say, oh, what is this? And see, what I was saying is that Nate has a sign. It's one of these placards next to him. And it says, got something to cure? Sit down. Remember this? Boots, do you remember?
Yeah.
Boots, do you remember my saying that?
Yes, I do.
Totally, yes.
Okay. And Ross remembers, so this was a little memorable detail, it looks like. A whole bunch of people remember this. And one of the things I was saying is most people do not sit down. They walk over and they stand there and they say, what is this? They do not sit down and say, okay, I want to cure something. And so when they come over and they stand there and they say, what is this? Nate looks up at them and he smiles and he says, want to cure something? And the person says, well, I might have something, you know, or something like that they'll say. And he says, okay, sit down. He does not, in other words, answer their question. Want to know why? Barb, why do you think Nate doesn't answer their question?
Because he wants to teach them to answer their own questions.
Good point. But I'll tell you another reason that might be a little more immediate, which is that Nate simply has enough practice. You see, Nate spent like he spent like 7 months, or at the time he comes to the spa, it was about 7 months, and so about 8 months, you know, sending these really short tweets and helping people in really short order. And Nate never had any time because he was a stock clerk at Barnes & Noble. So he really never had time to get into long explanations and answering questions and all this rigmarole that people want to do. He just never did it. He opted out. Way at the beginning, he just opted out. He said, no thanks. You know, it's like what Bootsy was saying. You know, she sits down, she shows people how to cure things. Most of them want her to cure them. You know, but still, at least she isn't answering their questions, right? That'd really take time, you know. So anyway, to get back to this thing I'm talking about, this is the same kind of thing as Nate's sign. It's this box that appears on the computer screen, and it says, if you want to talk, I'm here. And see the website that I'm talking about where they have this? It's a very technical website, and you really need to talk to somebody. I never would have gotten interested in this thing had I not had that. But since I have voice recognition, so I could just sit there and talk to the person. So of course I had questions, and I asked them, and that's what kept me involved. You know, and that led to the affiliate. You know how we share our donations with you? Like if somebody signs up for the web college, you can have a third of what they donate, and that came from me interacting with this guy on this website. So I did get a lot out of our interactions. I learned, you know, a lot from doing that with him. And they were very nice people who ran the website that I was talking to. I never actually ended up buying their product, but they were very open to me not buying it. They just wanted to help me, you know, they seemed to just want to help me understand what my options were, and I appreciated that. And so, Greg, to get back to you, what I was thinking is that someday, when there are enough of us, and, you know, somebody comes to our web college, just imagine, like, somebody coming to the home page, and they're going to leave. You know, they're looking around, and they go, oh, okay, I get it. And this little box comes up on the screen, and it says, would you like to talk to somebody about curing something?
Live operator standing by.
No, it doesn't say live operator standing by, but that was cute, I will have to say. But it says, you know, got something to cure? Yeah. Let's talk. You know, I've cured some things. I'm a volunteer. And I'm here for a couple of hours, and I can help you cure things, you know, if you want. You know, I can direct you. I know the site's confusing, you know, there's a lot here. So let's see if we can find the thing you need. you know.
Nice.
And I think if we ever did that, you'd get a lot more people following through and curing things. And of course, see, because we're made for this kind of approach. But of course, the only problem is that somebody would have to sit there. But let me tell you one other thing while I'm on this subject, okay? A long time ago, when we had our organization, Franny was with me from the beginning. Franny and I met in 1975. And I started doing my seminars in 1977, I guess it was, or 8. And basically what I did, my method, was I had an answering machine that gave the information. People could leave their number and I'd call them back. And that went on for years, and there was a point where Franny said, and she changed everything we did by doing this. I want you to know that Franny brought us into our modern world. She changed our history by doing this one lousy little thing. She said, from now on, somebody's going to answer the phone. And we started answering the phone instead of having people get the answering machine message. And the weird thing is, you know, Nate went back to an answering machine message. He decided that he just didn't have time, you know, with all the people who wanted reassurance and all this other stuff, that if they weren't actually curing anything, you know, if they were just there because they needed some like, you know, tender love and care or something, he didn't have time to do that. So he, you know, he has a message on his outgoing, on his smartphone that's similar to mine, which says, you know, when you go to the web college, get started, and then call me and I'll help you. Which is that's basically what it says. You know, if you haven't started yet, go to the web college and start, and then I'll help you. Because you'll need my help at that point. But anyway, Franny said we're going to answer the phone, and we started answering the phone, and we went from taking in like $40,000 a year to taking in almost $2 million. That's how far we went by answering the phone. We just answered the phone. It was a simple thing. Somebody once said that the difference between IBM and Microsoft was that at IBM they answer the phone.
Well, a lot like, think of Southwest Air. You love them because they have a person there answer the phone all the time.
That's right.
It helps you. They say, oh, I got all the time in the world.
Well, you know, this webinar I was listening to, he was saying that they use the phone as a branding device. Like they just talk endlessly to people. He said the longest call that one of their people had with a customer was 8 hours and 45 minutes.
My God.
Uh-huh. One call. Well, so I'd like to hear from you now what you have to say, all of you, about what you've heard so far.
Well, I think it would be a good idea to organize somehow things that a person can be available on the website to answer questions. We can take turns according to our availability, to our jobs, etc. But I think it makes a huge difference to talk to a person. It's better than to read something or watch a video, which is quite useful. But as a first approach, it would be very good to have a real person to welcome you and to be available for you.
Come on, guys. What do you
Yeah,
have
I
to
agree.
say?
Like when we first sort of had this idea about adding this website at all back in like 1997, or like my idea of it was always, you know, we're like a church, 24 hours where the doors are open, anybody can walk in, you know, sit and pray or do whatever. The priest will always be there or somebody's there. And so that's what was cool about a website. And even on our website, it says, you know, want to talk to a volunteer. So it makes it look like, you know, someone's sitting there right by the phone. Of course, Greg's very busy, so how can he answer all those calls? And I know that even I get lots of phone calls from people that I call them back, but just to you know, you find your favorite people and you want to just talk to them. Unless, you know, I was getting paid or something. Like we should be funded. We should be funded. That would be a perfect job for someone like me or Vic or someone like to sit there and answer the phone and help people. Just like to sit and hear something with them. And that's probably, I mean, to really fully realize, I think what we're doing is probably that's the way it would have to look. I think to have funding and have a staff and have, you know, the people exchange notes and, you know, have a system to record all these people who call and their numbers and call them back and see how they're doing, you know, like a regular, you know, like a company would. I think of all the people that call me and all the different phones I've had and where are their numbers and how do you keep track of all this stuff? Like, sort of like hard to keep track of you know, people had a little more extra help. Even that woman we talked to last night, if you follow up with her, she might turn into a real winner. If we don't, she'd probably just be another person that had an interesting evening, and that's the last we would hear from her. So that's my thing. Now, I would have never succeeded at this unless I had a lot of personal attention, which I did.
Me too.
I mean, you know, you're like me. I mean, you kind of reached out and got the personal attention and didn't stop till you got your result. But so that, you know, it takes two. But still, we would, if we made it more available to people to have some assistance. Plus, I know that even like Alejandro, people like that would probably move faster if they were helping other people too, because that's part of how this works. I know whenever I'm working with people, I get more immune myself, more skilled. But, yeah, sure.
That's what I have on my website. My primary website, I have a little applet on the right side where people could click and
call you.
Chat real time. You know, private or
that's nice.
public, public group.
Or we could, like, you know, give a free sample, or probably should have more meetings. We probably should have a class every night almost that people can call in on. But
what does the CareDrive use for the software? Is it like WordPress or?
I think we used it with Front Page, but we just have. We have our phone numbers on there, some people's phone numbers, but you know, everybody's really busy. We have these meetings, but I mean the meetings that on Monday, but you know, just that a lot of people, you know, call in and they hang up in the middle of it, or they call in once and nobody calls them back to see how they were doing or what they got or anything like that. There's no follow. You have to kind of, in our old organization, when we moved from, you know, being like 100,000 or 200,000 a year to being $1 million a year company, was we had enough staff where we would actually adopt people. Like we had a list of names, so we would say, who wants this person? Who wants that person? You know, we would take these names and we would go, you know, check on them and see how they're doing, or you know, sort of nudge them to their next thing. But it was very organized. I mean, we weren't funded in those days. We had to make our money by, you know, putting on our courses, but there was money, you know, that was our full-time job. Most of us didn't have any other jobs besides jobs that kept the company going. Well, that was like a full-time effort. We'd have like 3 or 4 meetings a day with these lists, like, oh, how's so-and-so doing? How's so-and-so doing? You know, we knew how, you know, like all these people's names and exactly where they were at or where they were stuck, what was going on.
Well, you feel like in a way, Lori is in Poland, and we didn't register her, I guess. But
right.
I remember
we don't have that formula now. like also we had those outlines, remember, like we, at the end of the meeting last night, we didn't have like, we didn't say, okay, would you like to speak to us again? When? Would you like to sign up for the web college right now? Okay, what, a month, a year, would you like a private session? We didn't give her much besides,
Right.
we're not structured that way.
But my point is that there are probably a lot of people out there that will call in. And I remember the best night I ever had.
There's an echo.
Yeah, I have to go over to the thing. Hold on a second.
Since Byron's taping it, I have to walk over here. The best night I ever had was, we used to call it D-hoing. I can't remember what that means, but...
Deputy head of enrollment.
Head of enrollment.
Oh, okay. Well, I was sitting there, my father was there actually, he was visiting, and I decided that I was just going to manifest someone to call in and register. And the first call was, I don't know, it was a wrong number or something, and then the second one was somebody actually called in and just registered. And I remember everybody was screaming, and then my father ran over, after I got off the phone, my father ran over and rang the bell. He didn't even wait for me to ring the bell, he just rang the bell. And, but see, that's what I'm saying, is that our experience of people coming can be like that. Like, we labored too hard last night. She was a call-in, and we could just register her and let her do whatever she does.
Here, would you take this to Bird? You can hear me. Just leave the door open so you can hear me.
Okay.
There's something I want to say about the, getting the formula down for signing people up and registering people and all that. I got bad news for you. There isn't any formula, and it isn't even the way we should be thinking. Because you see,
Well, it's not the way we were thinking, that's why I was
that's right.
thinking,
And it's not the way we should. It's not the way we do, and it's not the way we should. Because I'll tell you why. If you have somebody who, is calling to, sign up for a course that you're giving, like we used to do, it's very simple to just, ask them, oh, you called to sign up, okay, and I'll get the formula down, and we'll register you. Here you go. But when somebody has bone cancer, and they have to cure the bone cancer, you can't do that. You can't cure their bone cancer. If you could cure their bone cancer, then you could have a formula and register them for your cure. So,
yeah, but the thing.
So see, if you want to be a hands-on healer,
we're offering us.
If you want to be a hands-on healer, you just say, okay, well, I will do a healing on you later. It's $350, and let's get your payment here, and you can sign them up. But if they have to cure it,
yeah, but if we're going for cures, then we say to the person, okay, you had a nice free sample, like Fran said, maybe it was too long. You say, okay, so how was it for you? Did you get anything out of it? Did you cure anything? Would you like to pursue this? You think, can you create your cure this way? And if yes, then you follow up with them. If no, then you just say, well, then or you point them in the right direction, which is what we usually do. Like, okay, well, the website's always there.
Which then leads us back to the kind of thing that we've been doing, And the fact is, as we're talking about, having people to interact with people who come to the website, that's our dream, that's our wish, that whenever somebody comes to this web college, that little box pops up and there's a person there that says, hey, I'll help you, I'll talk to you, And
the real wish is that the website guides them, answers all their questions, and provides everything they need to say, wow, I want to do more of this. And then if they don't have that, then they can talk to a person who's available.
Well, what Ross was saying is that, if I understood you correctly, Ross, was that you're willing to volunteer some hours per week to do that.
Right.
Yes.
Now, how many?
According to my job, and I could do it on Skype and not on the phone.
Because
I don't think there will be any people willing to turn to Italy.
Well,
It's
how many?
healthy.
Well, you see, you have to understand something, that the thing that they use at this company, they're in Slovenia or Slovakia or whatever it is. So they're in Europe. And they use a program, a computer program, that enables them to text, to interact with people on a text. It's a live text chat. It's not a phone thing at all. And they also,
Okay.
it provides a transcript of everything they said so the person can refer to it later, which was very helpful, by the way, because there were several times when I referred to the transcript and looked things up or took links off it or whatever. So it's a very good program that is available on the web. You can get it. And the thing is, if we had enough people, you know, to man this thing and to talk to people, if there were many more of you, we could do that. So again, what it comes back to, it keeps coming back to the same thing, which is tipping cure into global consciousness. Because
Yeah.
another thing that would have given Lori a better chance last night, even if she had never been doing this before in her life, would be if she had been seeing it on television for 3 or 4 years. And I'm not just talking about like an Oprah or a Dr. Phil. I'm talking about cop shows, dramas, where the cop is testing. He's getting a signal, you know, like these two cops are talking, and one of them says, well, you know, we'll send this out for DNA and see if it was him. And the other guy says, great, let's send it to the DNA lab. Hey, listen, test. What is that, his DNA? And the other guy goes, the other cop goes, I get yes. And the first cop says, all right, let's go pick him up now, and then we'll send the thing to the DNA lab. So if she had been seeing that kind of thing over and over in the movies and on television, magazines, everywhere, everybody doing it, everybody knows it's happening, everybody knows people cure things, then when she got cancer, she wouldn't have to be struggling so hard trying to figure out how to cure herself. See, because my concern about Lori, I don't care about selling Lori some subscription. I've seen too many people get subscriptions and not use them. And some
That's
of
what
them...
I'm saying, again, we don't have the proper structure. Like in those days, we not only had a subscription list, but we had like a Tuesday night series and the Monday night series and the life games, and they had like enough stuff to keep them busy and immersed in it, you know, with real people.
That's what
So
Tony
people-
Robbins, yeah, that's right. Tony Robbins says he's into total immersion.
Yeah, like we didn't, like nobody's gonna, including myself, is unless they're really used to being a student, like Ross or Jen, are gonna go and do the website by themselves
You
always.
see,
Like
the
most
thing
people
about
have a
you,
buddy.
the thing about the people on this call is that you are totally immersed in this. You are into total immersion, and you will do this all day, whether anybody talks to you about it or whether I call you or whatever it is. You keep doing it. Greg keeps doing it. You know, Boots keeps doing it. Barb keeps doing it. You know, you all keep doing it. And even when you're not doing it, you're doing it. Somehow you got inside of it, and you're there. You're just there. And so for you, it's like it's on television all day. That's what it's like for you. That's why you don't get sick. You know, that's why, like, Ross, can you imagine how frightened some of the people at that school are? They've been told they might have tuberculosis.
I know.
They're terrified.
Yes.
And you're not,
I know.
you don't seem the least bit worried. Like, I'm looking at you, you know. You don't look worried to me. You look like you're just fine about it all.
You know, when she told us the story, all I kept thinking was, imagine like a regular group of people hearing this. Everyone would be going, "Oh my God!" You know, it's so horrible. And we're just sitting there like, "Oh, you know, great. No, just move it if you have it. It's no big deal."
I do want to mention to you that Greg's dad has had tuberculosis in his body for a long, long time, because I guess he was exposed during his early years, but it never manifests into anything.
Great.
He told me that.
I was a person who used to worry incredibly, about my health. And the big change is that when I heard there was a possibility that I had tuberculosis, I told the lady at the school, well, it's good to know. I want to know if I have it because it's much, much better to know than not to know. And I talked to her about Immunix. She's not doing it because she doesn't have a signal and she makes a lot of excuses. But she told me that lots of the girls, of the students, were crying and were desperate. You know, and I can understand that because if you don't have something like we do, you get desperate.
Well, you see, what we have here on the Cure team is a group of people who have a very grounded foundation. Like you are very clear that it's real, that you can do it, that you've already done it, that you've cured things, you will cure things in the future, and you're probably pretty certain that nothing is ever going to stop you. Now, and this brings us to basically the end of our meeting. You know, I was sort of thinking in the last half hour of this meeting I was going to tell you the rest of that alternate ending of the Nate story, but I never got to. Yeah, you know, I was kind of planning on that. You know, but the thing is, I think that what we did in this meeting is groundbreaking, really, and I'm glad we did this. Okay, this was good. And also, I'm learning, you know what, something's happening for me because I'm learning more about how to learn from you. Like I'm learning about things I can say that will elicit things coming to me from you that I don't already know or am not sure of or whatever. And it's been working because in this meeting, you have said a lot of things that I needed to hear. So thank you for that, and for, you know, for basically thanks for your total immersion. You know, that's what we need, babies. Total immersion. And Barb, I am planning to try to reach you tonight and do our thing. Okay?
Yeah, I might be more busy tonight.
Well, it's Friday night, but you know. Well, all right. I'll try tomorrow night or whatever. You know,
I'd like to. Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Or tomorrow morning. Okay, cool.
We'll get to it. And a Tuesday for Boots and Barb, right?
Right on.
Barb.
Boots.
Barb.
The three B's. Barb, and Boots.
Yeah, right. The three B's. Barb Tuesday.
Bye, guys.
Barb Tuesday.
Ciao, ciao.
Barb.
Can I say something? I have a communication.
Barb.
Ellis wants to say something.
Barb.
Yes.
Tuesday, right?
Hold on. Yeah, yes, I'll be there Tuesday, sure.
Okay, just let's listen to Ross before we go.
Yeah, let's listen.
Okay. Probably on Monday I won't be able to be in the European prayer meeting anymore. I'm saying probably because I've been given a course, but I'm not sure I'll be able to go this Monday because I have no car. So if I find a car, I'll be teaching at school. If I don't find a car, I'll be home and I'll let you know.
So we just have to.
This movie was given to you by HUM, the World Ministry of Immunix, which enables you to cure medically incurable diseases. We also produce the Cure Drive in the iCollege of Immunix. This is the home page. And as you see here, the movie that starts playing automatically when the page opens is a 3-hour tutorial film, which underneath it is the beginning of a series of movies. If you click on these links, you go to another movie that's a continuation of the tutorial, showing different aspects of the things that people need to get into when they cure things. The movie shows many people curing things. You'll find complete cure tutorials on the home page. Under the group at the top is another This is a video and text tutorial, and if you click on the link, you'll see it has 10 lessons, and you can click on each lesson and you'll see that the lessons are movies interspersed with explanations. And if you continue scrolling down the home page, you'll find a huge bank of movies of people curing things. Here's one of someone curing multiple sclerosis that you can click on and these play. Hopefully this one will play in a moment. There it is. So that woman cured PPMS and MS. Here you'll find people from every continent: Europe, the US, Asia, Canada. This woman cured shingles, and in this particular movie that's what she's demonstrating. And at the top of the home page you will find links to the cure meetings that we have every week. 9 p.m. New York time, Rome time 8 p.m. Underneath the cure meetings you'll find a link to Friend Me. It's actually Byard. I'm Byard, speaking to you on Facebook, and you'll meet many people who are my Facebook friends there who have cured various diseases. Many of us have cured herpes, which is what I cured. Also there, if you have trouble getting signals, there is a whole bank of movies that focus on people who are just starting to get their first signals. Many of these people went on to bigger and better things, and you see them in other movies. But these are movies about their signals, how they got their first signals. At the very top of the home page, you will find above the masthead a link to the cure shows. And we documented people curing things on, we did this on the phone. There are shows on about 75 diseases, and the diseases are listed alphabetically, as you can see. You actually hear the people curing these diseases during these shows. That's post-traumatic stress syndrome from 9/11, the catastrophe. We have a show on that, and fever, somebody curing the fever, several people curing fibromyalgia, flu. We had a flu hotline, and there are many people. These people are actually curing flu, and the flu stops. It clears up during the 15 or 20 minutes of the call. It doesn't take long to cure the flu. Over here you have paralysis, parasitic parenting, Parkinson's disease. When you cure something, please join your voice with the voices of the many people who came before you by reporting your cure in our poll, which you can do right above the tally of the cures that people have reported, is here at the top. And as you can see, there's a little link here. And if you click on that, you will come to a form that enables you to report your cure. This page is the hub of the Webb College, and as you can see, there are detailed lessons on how to remove viruses, cure cancer. Here's a movie on the right here of a doctor who actually years ago cured the flu on camera. You'll notice that skill 1 in the hierarchy of skills is cure physical diseases. That's actually the easiest thing with this particular approach. And I've put a great many things in the hierarchy of skills that relate to curing physical diseases, such as ending trauma, working on your organs. Now, if we go into the Recode Your DNA, there are 10 applications or 11 applications, and Recode Your DNA is one of them. If we go inside here, what we see is a page with a huge amount of links. And then if we look at the links on the right, after the ones on the left which prepare you, these are the actual lessons. And you can see some of them. It might be hard for some people to see why blind installation procedure is related to recoding your DNA. And this is why we've put it in this application, so that it relates it in your mind. This is the reason the Webb College is organized the way it is to relate things for you in your mind. And obviously there are a huge number of things, like if you're curing cancer or herpes or any medically incurable disease, it's obvious that there are a great many things that you have to learn. And they're different for everybody. You do not have to learn everything that's listed here. And in fact, cure is instantaneous. And it's always unexpected how it will come. Like, watch these women. They're going to give you a perspective. This is a good way to conclude this little overview I'm giving you here. Say, can I go to the 144th dimension? See if you get a signal on that. Can I go to the 144th dimension?
Can I go to the 144th dimension? Yes? I guess I can.
Go ahead and do it.
Okay,
Okay.
both of you go to the 144th dimension.
I'm taking myself to the 144th dimension.
Me too.
No stopping for gas on the 8th dimension.
I feel clear.
I feel less interested in anything below the 144th dimension.
Can we stay here all the time?
I know, exactly.
Well, I mean, this would take a lot of backstory, but there are some decisions that my family's making that I now feel clear about.
Yes, because when you have that perspective from the 144th dimension,
Yeah.
you simply don't care about anything as much.
That's exactly it. But I don't care doesn't sound so good.
Well, see, that's right.
But it's it. That's really
Not in effect.
When people hear we say we don't care, they go, "Well, God, that's sick," you know.
I know. It's a good thing.